for a launch. But like you said, nice to get the steeplechase in because it's a really strong addition of the Jonathan Shepherd here. And then also, like you said, they'll hold the MTOs, the big pick six carryover. They're obviously going to have to make the decision beforehand so that there's no all going into it, being taken off, into the actual pick six itself. So we'll see how it all plays out. But like you said, it's a little drizzle up here right now. Hopefully it stops because tomorrow looks to be like the big weather maker day. So we'll see. We'll see ultimately how the week plays out.
Yeah, unfortunate, but if we can get it out early in the week, and we've got that big Alabama card on Saturday, the rematch, what we think at least, is between Malathat and Maracuja, and then Army Wife's going to be in there as well. I'll have Mike Welsh on of the DRF around 10:20 from Racing Across America, kind of talk that. Look forward, look back. Orlando Noda's going to join at 10:40 too. But last weekend we ran the 4-Star Dave and got Stormy dial the clock back to 2019 and got it done again. She certainly likes this course. I thought she was very, very hard to come up with off her recent form, but got back to a race course, turf course that she likes a lot, and now doubles up against the Colts and the Geldings in the 4-Star Day, which is pretty heady stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously for Mark Cassidy, we had him on the show.
First win of the meet.
First win of the meet. If you remember last week, actually singled one of his horses, so I was a couple days late to the party. But again, just a terrific horse. I think it's even cooler because you don't see a lot of times horses that are sharp lose their form.
That's a good point.
And then regain it. Those are the special horses, and obviously she's a horse that was working strong going into it, but had really always done that all along. You kind of said, well, and I think there's a lot of people in your bandwagon who just said she was tough to come up with, but she had been working strong. So that's why I thought you got that sort of even 11, 12 to 1, where some people were like, well, if she can run her best race, she's a player in here.
Oh, sure.
Some people were like, well, she just isn't the same horse that she used to be. But you really profited because I think that pick 4 came back 4,000 or something like that. Pick 5 came back huge.
22 on it.
Yeah, so again, it just unbelievable performance by her. And again, just to regain that form, she was really sharp. That time came back really fast.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. And, she found her form last year late, but she found it. Mark had to cut her back and run her one turn, turf sprinting. And, she was favored or co-favored or maybe second choice in the Breeders' Cup turf sprint. And so, yeah, she kind of found herself again last year. But again, it was that one turn. She was a little flat going 2 turns last year off such a seismic 2019. And now doubles up in the 4-Star Day. Mark's quotes were pretty interesting after the race. He ran her at Woodbine in the mile against the boys. She ran second, I think, in 2019. And he kind of said, well, she's a tricky horse and that she needs her turf a little bit on the firm side. So we'll see what he does with her. But, it wasn't a great 4-Star Dave. I think Raging Bull was odds on, and
I was actually a fan of set piece going into it.
Yeah,
he didn't get the right pace set up. Still ran a pretty good race.
He did run good.
Yeah, I was going to say, ran a pretty good race. Yeah.
And Raging Bull's fine, but I think that was a little bit of A, Raging Bull's fine. B, who else are we going to bet kind of thing?
Raging Bull, though.
4 to 5, I think.
6 to 5, something like that.
Okay. And again, he was fine, but, in a normal year, I think Raging Bull is like a 2 to 1 favorite in that race. With all that being said, Got Stormy was 13 to 1, and she, if you told me she was going to run her best race, she'd be 5 to 2, but there was really no
right, and that's where the confusing, that was where it was confusing.
Yeah.
Well, if she's working that strong, why isn't she half the price she was on the morning line? She ended up staying almost exactly at that morning line price, and it just worked out favorably. I think she was a little bit more forwardly placed, and I think she was.
Tyler Gaffione gave her a great ride, blowout, ran off. You kind of thought she would. I liked her, actually.
Yeah.
And you kind of thought that's what she does. She runs off, and then she came back to the field pretty quickly, and it was one of those races where, turning for home, you're like, if you didn't have Got Stormy, which I didn't, for a giant score, I was like, oh man, this is over. Because she was just gone.
Yeah.
She got the right one over kind of, first run kind of trip, and the stalker closers were just left with way too much to do with an explosive turn of foot. So congratulations, Hall of Famer Mark Cassidy, kind of showing one of the reasons why. And you made a great point to get her back now at 6, I believe.
Yeah.
Beating Colts, in a grade 1 here at Saratoga. That's a pretty heady stuff. So congratulations to the team and her. And a big card, like we said, on Saturday. And, it's the rematch. Now, I think, Mike, if Malathat, 5 for 5, Kentucky Oaks winner, had won the CCA, the 4-horse CCA, we would have said, well, you know, that was her first start off a little bit of a layoff off such a good win in the Kentucky Oaks, and now she's, you know, 1 to whatever in the Alabama, and she's the free square and move on and see what she does against older horses in the fall. Well, you know what? I know she ran hard in the CCA, but she didn't win it. She ran a good race, but now I think everything's on the table. Now you're allowed to ask, you know, well, how good is she? You know, search results we don't think is as good at going 2 turns as she is 1. And that's who she fended off in the Oaks, and you know she's not crazily fast on paper. And I think it's put up or shut up time on Saturday.
Yeah, I think if you're the connections, and I think we actually had John Velasquez on in an interview talking about it going into the race. Obviously, drawing the rail was a concern. Your hands forced at that point. Now you're doing something that you normally don't do. She likes to eye up horses. Yeah. She's a horse that, you know, likes to have a target. She was sort of the target the entire way around. She was. You know, so now I think you're hoping, in a perfect world, you draw outside. You're able to sit 3rd or 4th going into the backstretch, and then you're able to target the, you know, the top 2 horses on the lead, and then just take it from there. So I just think tactically, you know, the CCA Oaks was not advantageous for her. Everybody kind of thought that. Ultimately, she gets grinded down. Now I think you see the good Malathat. They obviously want to have a little redemption off that effort. Sure. But again, she didn't lose anything in defeat. She took on waves of competition in that entire race. So while she lost, I still think it was a great effort, and she's going to be tough to beat.
I agree, and she's still a very, very deserving, heavy favorite. I know, I'm just going to pull this up now. I know Army Wife is who we mentioned, one of the new shooters.
She's
she's all right for Mike Maker. She won the Black Eyed Susan.
That was her breakout. That was her breakout party. It was in the Black Eyed Susan. She won the Iowa Oaks, I believe, like you said, and you know, she's okay. I think we were talking off air about Joel Rosario normally rides her. He's going to be out on the West Coast for the Pacific Classic, so we'll see who ends up picking up the mount. But you know, she's one kind of floating under the radar that she could be a big player in there.
Clairiere looks like she's going to be back for more. I don't see it. Crazy Beautiful, Will Secret for Dally Stewart, 3rd in the Kentucky Oaks, and she's all right on her day. But certainly Malathat will start as something to 5 in the Alabama. It's just whether it's odds on or a little bit over that. But she, you know, again, like you said it perfectly, she still is the horse to beat. She lost nothing in defeat, but you know, it sounds a little weird because she's a clear-cut divisional leader, but I think it is a pivotal race for her in her campaign. Does she back up that Kentucky Oaks, or does maybe she come back a little bit and now the gap you know, tightens a little bit? I'll tell you what, if Maracuja wins this race again and doubles up on the CCA, you know, all bets are off now going forward.
Yeah, and her race was probably equally as good. She was a horse that kind of pressed it.
She was the one doing the dirty work early.
And then she sort of backed up, and I'm like, oh, man, this horse is done down the backstretch. And then she's the one to sort of resurge again and sustain it. Because she was, you know, she made that huge move around the far turn. You thought maybe she's going to flatten out. Malathat's going to get gutsy on the rail. She's still able to take her on and get the job done. So no doubt, if she can back up that performance, I still think you're going to get value in the race.
You will get value in the race because I think everybody will look at what we're alluding to as a funky 4-horse field where the favorite did have to run hard, and you know, maybe she took advantage of that and was in the right spot at the right time. So I agree, Mike. You probably get 6 to 1, 5 to 1. So if you're a fan, come right back. If you weren't there at 14 to 1 in the CCA, you know, you can still. I don't think this is a wedding and a funeral angle because I think you will still get some fair value on Maracuja going 1.25 miles. Now that's a separator too. We'll have to figure out things out there on Saturday. A really a distance that the gals don't run all too often, so that could be a separator as well. So always an exciting. I would say I was telling somebody the other day, Alabama. I think if the Whitney's 2, the Alabama's 2B, obviously the Travers, but people know the Alabama, and you've got to hear Pacific Classic at Del Mar as well. Winning, you're in, I believe, for the Breeders' Cup Classic.
Yeah, they drew it yesterday. Field of 9, excuse me. Like you said, no world beaters. The West Coast has sort of been beaten up on each other. The East is going to send the lone shipper in here is going to be Dr. Post, winner down at Monmouth last time out. An impressive performance, beat Night Ops, a couple other horses, New York Traffic, if I remember, in that Monmouth Cup. So 4 to 1. Yeah, lukewarm favorite. So again, the Pacific Classic.
He's the favorite at 4-1.
No, actually,
Express
Train's the favorite off the San Diego win at 3-1. But again, you're talking 6 horses in here from 3 to 5 to 1. So Express Train's the lukewarm favorite at 3-1 off the San Diego victory. Royal Ship, who finished third in that race, 7-2 as the second choice, and then you have Dr. Post, who I just mentioned, at 4-1, and then you have 3 other horses: Tripoli, Tis a Magician, and Independence Hall at 5-1. So if you're playing the Pacific Classic on Saturday, wide open race, you're going to have unbelievable card, a bunch of state races.
It's their Travers card.
Exactly, it's their Travers card. So drawn yesterday, and again, it's a completely wide open race. If you can find the winner in this race, especially if you're going to back yourself up in multis vertically as well, I think it's going to be a profitable race, because it's hard to kind of come up with a clear, confirmed horse that you really trust. So that's where you're going to get paid.
Which, as a bettor, that's all you can ask for.
Yep.
So, and quickly before we get going here on today's card, if you're an international fan, and Mike and I certainly are, and we love that racing over the Juddmonte International at York today. It's about 10:35 in the a.m. So you're not allowed to switch off racing across America, but just load up your computer or your phone on the OTB Bets app and watch that one at York. We've got Love and Mishriff, arguably two of the top turf horses in the world. Love for Coolmore and Aidan O'Brien stubbed their toe a little bit last time, and then Mishriff, of course, won the Saudi Cup over Charlatan and doubled back in the Shima Classic at Maidan. So this is a signature race. It will have a very, very telling impact on what we think will probably be the Breeders' Cup turf and then the Arc de Triomphe later on in the year, too. So 10:35 a.m. Check that out. A historic race at York to Juddmonte International. But 1:05 in the p.m. here. Well, we hope/think, because they're not going to take this one off the turf. We know that.
We mentioned that a bunch of these horses in here are European horses, so this should be no shock to them to see moisture on the ground at all.
So we'll either be running the Jonathan Shepherd at 105, $150,000, the signature race for the steeplechase horses, going 2 3/8 miles. Jonathan, the Hall of Famer, retired earlier in the year, won this race 15 times. So we hope we're kicking this card off at 105, Mike. It's a tough nut to crack because several of these come out of the same race, and that was the AP Smithwick, the grade 1 earlier in the meet. That Baltimore Bucko ran off and won for fun. He was a tepid favorite that day for Kerry Briand, Jonathan's longtime assistant. How'd you see the Jonathan Shepherd? I was going to say Turf Riders again.
I know. 6-4-3-2. I will go with the mare against the boys. Last time out, obviously, if you watched it at Saratoga, is that one of the top 5 worst beats?
Well, you come up with the other 4. I don't know.
I was going to say it's I was going to say the top one, but I was like, obviously years of races, there had to be worse ones. But yeah, when you've cleared all the hurdles and you're up by 15.
Well, Mike's alluding to the Kaiser in the novice race last time, where the Mean Queen at 1-2, as you said perfectly, you clear all the hurdles, you're in a canter to the line, and the jockey Gardner, I guess, hit her left-handed a little bit.
She didn't react well, that's the biggest question.
Didn't react well and ended up throwing him not too far from the line in what was, an absolute procession. She's very, very good, but...
Right. Well, I think they learned something, right? She's been winning by so much that she probably hasn't felt the whip.
No, it was probably unnecessary.
And that's what a lot of people said, especially if you had the horse. Did you need to use the whip at that point? Probably not, but obviously Thomas Carter was trying to get the best out of his horse, to get this horse razor sharp for this point. It didn't work out well. She didn't react well. She tossed the rider. They weren't in a good flow at that point. But her races are good. She's already beat the boys. She's getting 9 pounds from Baltimore Bucko. And I just think she's a rising star in here. Now, Kerry Briand has a chokehold on this race. Because she's got 4 in here. And I have, the top 3 are all her horses. The Mean Queen's going to be my top choice, hopefully, with a sharper race. We'll see how much they end up using the whip. And she should be 4th place. She should be eyeing up Baltimore Bucko, who's going to want the lead, and I have in the 3rd spot. But French Light is an interesting horse. Last time out, raced in the Smithwick, a solid 2nd to Baltimore Bucko. Baltimore Bucko got an easy trip. That race was sort of out there winging it on the front end. They weren't setting the world on fire as far as pace goes. And French Light was able to come pick up the pieces for 2nd. And now they're stretching out another furlong and a half in this spot. and I think that's advantageous towards French Light, who's 6-1 on the morning line. So if you want to get a little bit clever in alternatives against the favorites, I thought French Light was interesting, and then Baltimore Buckle for a lot of the reasons people are going to mention. Last time out, very impressive in the Smithwick. Likes to be forwardly placed. I think they've sort of figured that out. Has been in razor sharp form and is clearly going to be the alternative to Mean Queen. But I had 6, 4, 3, and 2.
I am with you, Mike. I mean, the weight break is significant here. I say it all the time on this program. Joe Clancy will be sitting where Mike is at 10 o'clock, and we'll talk about it. But the weight break and the lightweight is significant. She gets in at 147. Now, Baltimore Bucko, who's, awesome, winning the AP last time, picks up 14 pounds. And now is giving weight to all of these. French Light 4 pounds. The rest of them are 6 or higher. So I like the Mean Queen in here, as you mentioned. I mean, she looks like a real star, and I'm not really going to pay too much attention to what happened last time, because what I really want to see, and what I did see, and as what Mike said, she cleared every hurdle with aplomb and looked really, really good. So I put her on top. Leslie Young's won this race before. Renaissance second off the layoff, first start of the year last time in the Smithwick. I would think he runs better today. An import from Europe back, a few years ago. So the give in the ground, Mike said it earlier, several of these are imports. And then Baltimore Bucko, again, 14 pounds picking up. It's a big ask, but he was so good last time. 6.83 in the newly minted Jonathan Shepherd.
Take a look at race number 2. It's a $32,000 claim. We're going to go 7 furlongs on the dirt, and this is going to kick off the early pick 5.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Mike, because take note of that, obviously. We don't have the steeplechase in the early picks, so take note of that. 2-6-1-3 for me. Cantrell Hill, Downey Gargan off the claim, 37%. The Barnes had a pretty solid meet. I admittedly, on this show, I said, I want to fade this barn a little bit. Did not run well at Belmont with limited starters. Well, Danny's picking the right spots in here. Luis Saez and Danny, well over 30% together, 36% together. This one ran very, very well for a quarter for Diodoro last time. I think if Danny moves this one up, he's going to win. If this one holds his form, he's in with a big shot as well. Number 6, Free Enterprise on the outside, a dropper for Chad. All out to win a very, it was almost like a turf race. There was about 5 of them on the line last time. And it was a slow number. Now drops. Please claim me. We don't need this one in the barn anymore. Major player. I would not want a short price on this horse, who's a little behind a few of these in
that is exactly too. Was my point.
Yeah.
I don't think we want a short price as far as being a top choice anyway.
No, absolutely not. And then down inside, Easy Shot to 1 off the claim for Bruce Levine, who's had a very, very quiet meet, kind of a quiet year. But this is a guy that knows what he's doing with these claimers. Owner, trainer, Bruce Levine here. Easy Shot is in the mix as well. 2-6-1-3 on the 1 sheet. Now, check the scratches on the website and on Twitter today as well, because there are going to be plenty of them.
Yeah, I tried to get a little clever in this race. 4-6-2-1, like you said. Free Enterprise going to be favorite in this race off that impressive win last time out. But like you said, now drops and still in for the tag. I just didn't want the short price. Somebody to me is interesting. The 4 horse in here did not do a lick of running last time out, going 7 furlongs in a race with Bo Liam and Witzel, who ended up
106 buyers.
106 buyers, exactly. That being said, huge class relief in this spot. You take a look at the last time this horse was in a similar spot, ended up winning down at Aqueduct in a career best 81 buyer and beat Smile Brian, who actually came up here. Was actually Steve Vick's play of the day at one point.
Orlando Noda.
Near
opening day, I think, right?
Yeah, I know it was early on in the card. Won an allowance up here on the turf. So I think the class relief's going to help in here. Likes the wet going, 2 wins and 6 career starts over a off going in this spot. So I put the 4 at 6-1 on top. The 6 underneath, Free Enterprise for all the reasons you already mentioned. Victory last time out. If this horse hits the same exact trip, sort of stocking on the outside like last time out, it's going to be a huge play in here. We aren't thrilled with the price that you're going to get, but you still have to use this horse in any of the verticals or multi-race wagers. And then Cantrell Hill is your top choice, like you said last time out. I thought it was a solid effort. Another one who's 1 for 1 over the off-going. So I will like the moisture in the track with the wind down at Delta Down. So 4-6-2-1 for me in the second.
Race 3 kicks off the early pick 4 again with the hurdlers in the opener. We go early pick 4 in race 3. It's a maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies. You got to dig a little bit though. This is that RNA race, 45,000. It doesn't tell you that in the upper right hand corner. Read the conditions here. These are horses that sold for RNA at 45,000 or less in their most recent sale. 6 furlongs on the main.
Yeah, this is going to be my play of the day. It's going to be tough to eat Morning Matcha if she comes back and runs any of those 2 races, including last time out. Career debut, she did not break well, and that's sort of been her MO in the first 2 career starts. She doesn't break well, but she finishes up fast. She's going to get that extra distance. In the career debut, she finished 3rd to Mainstay. We mentioned that a couple times. 2nd in the Schuylerville. Then you take a look at last time out. Let's Be Clear was my play of the day that day. Take the Back Routes, who finished 2nd in that race, came back to win impressively on the turf up here at Saratoga. And Mortemacha was flying, was clearly the horse that was finishing up the best last time out. Likes the off-goings, already seen it twice. Going to be a short price in here, but for me, it's going to be a single on all the multis. I'll use Mortemacha as my top choice in order the Jose Lascano aboard. The 7, Call Sign Charlie, is a horse going to be a first-time starter for Jorge Abreu. And Jorge Abreu strikes really well with first-time starters. 9 for 33. He's got 5 victories up here. He's had a really good meet so far. This horse has some nice, solid workouts as well. So watch the board on the 7 as a first-time starter in here. I think he might be quite interesting at 9-2. And then the 6, G Money Live. Career debut was against Mortemacha last time out. Was able to pass some tired rivals, but I think just needed that race out of dialed in. Probably wants to stretch out a little bit farther than the 6 furlongs that he's going to go today. But I think this is a horse that can improve with blinkers going on and Rod Ortiz Jr. picking it up at a big price of 10-1 in the morning line. Hope that holds 4, 7, 6, and 9.
Yeah, I've got the 7 on top, and Mike said a lot of the reasons. The barn's 27% with firsters. To be honest with you, this horse is 9-2. I don't think it's a good.
That's
sign.
why I said watch the board.
I don't think that's a good sign at all. He's supposed to be bet. She's supposed to be bet. Excuse me. There's not a lot in. There's nothing in here. Let's just be honest. She's supposed to be bet below that 9-2 morning line for a prolific. Now this is going on the better part of 2 years. A prolific first-time starter. Barn won the other day with a firster. Manny's over 20% with this barn. He rides for him at Saratoga. Call Sign Charlie's supposed to be betting here. Wouldn't shock me at all if she's a second choice. Honestly, Mike, it wouldn't shock me at all if she's the favorite over Mortemacha, who I have in second, who I needed last time. Who, you know, she ran, like you said, she ran big, but she was also kind of passing some drunken soldiers in the lane. I don't want to see her dropping 10 lengths back. She's got to show a little more tactical speed for me, but she is a horse to beat for Butch Reed. I've got her in second. We'll go outside to number 9, Monsham Ray Handle. As Ray was down with like 0 for a big number last year at firsters. All of a sudden he's up to 11%. He can pop.
This is the wise guy horse.
Yeah.
This horse has been in the morning working out fantastic. Yeah. But like you said, Ray's not really known for his first-time starter, so you know, this horse is going to take some play as well. Watch the board on this horse.
Yep, and Joel Rosario's here. It's a sign, to me, it's a sign of intent. So I've got that one in second. 7, 4, 9, 8, and 4 as it brings us to our first break here on the Wednesday edition of the Handicapper Report. It's Jonathan Shepherd Day. It's Bolton Landing Day. 3 races off the turf that Mike and I will get to when we come back from the break. Stay tuned.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to the Handicapper Report. Again, Wednesday morning, Mike Callahan, Brian Nadeau, up to race number 4, but don't forget pick 6 carryover again. I feel like deja vu. We talked about this last week.
Yeah.
Pick 6 carryover, 145,000, races 5 through 10, and again, races 5, 6, and 8 are going to be off the turf, and we'll talk about them as far as sequence purposes go. I don't want to relive bad beats, but you were dead right with your last week when we were giving away tickets. Single, and the last came back 50,000.
Yeah, and
I don't want to relive because I know it was. You were dead right, but wasn't able to cover a couple other legs. I know.
My group had a very, very big ticket, the syndicate I put together. And, I like to think I'm okay at this game. We were out after 2 races, Mike.
I was texting you. Remember we were texting back and forth?
And to quote my partner who's going to sit next to me tomorrow and our colleague, Anthony Mormino, I don't want to be that guy, but if you hit that pick 6 last week for like 49.9, you didn't get enough. I think the parlay was
second or third person to say that, because usually when you do the parlay, you get 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 times.
On a carryover day, I think they put 1-2 into it. The carryover was like 187. Long story short, 18 people hit that pick 6. It came back almost $50,000. The parlay was like 47.9 or something. And on a carryover day when there was so much chaos early, yeah, it was a lead pipe single in the last. Although my best bet of the day in race, the penultimate race, was not favored.
No,
it wasn't like,
after a couple of scratches.
That was a race where you could use several.
You went spread.
Yeah.
8-4, literally a cold double at the end. So.
I sent a text to a buddy. I was like, after 3 races, I was like, are there any tickets alive? Like, how many people are left in this thing? Todd won a turf race at 13-1 in a race where I was like, that would have been the last horse I would have used, the first horse I would have tossed. I was like, wow, I was stunned that it was, like, a quote, only paying $50,000.
No, absolutely.
It was impossible.
Like you said, probably for the fact of the Chad Brown horse in the last, just
100%.
looking to be leaps and bounds better than that field. And Vikings in, because remember, I think it was either or, but even at that point, those 2 were clearly better. And Chad Brown's horse was a couple lengths clear. I forget the name, but that horse was 3-5. And clearly a lot of people saw it the way you saw it as far as the end. And that's ultimately why you didn't get the value in it. But still, at 50,000, you did have to get clever in the first 3 legs. We'll see how it plays out here in this sequence today. But it was quite interesting, and we'll take a look at that pick 6 here in a bit. But we'll take a look at race number 4 right now. $25,000 claimer, 1 1/8 on the dirt.
What's the morning line on the 4? I printed early.
Villainous 7-2.
Wow. Okay, this is my best bet of the day. I did print early before I got a little R&R in the middle of the meet. Well needed, much needed. 4-6-1 for me. My play of the day is Villainous for Oscar Barrera. And he's done good work with this 3-player stable. It's I know the barn hasn't won a race here. I don't know how surprising that is. He won races at Belmont. He's a solid 9% off the claim. It's not a barn you hear a lot about. It's not a barn that's going to come up here to Saratoga and win a lot of races. But Villainous was very, very good last time to be 3rd in a fast race for Linda Rice. Like I said, this is a barn that does under the radar good job off the claim. A quote-unquote big figure last time in the body of this field. There's a very, very big figure regardless of the sheets or the buyers. I think he can, if not improve this one, maintain the form. And I'll tell you what, if he runs back to that race for 20, now he's in for 25. Mike, this is not a typical 25, okay? I think Villainous has got a big chance in here. 7-2 would be an overlay for me. Number 6, Heavy Roller, 2nd off the claim for the Jones barn, a very low percentage barn. Ran okay last time for 40 at Belmont, going to 1 turn. Stretches out to 2 turns here at Saratoga. I think he's a player from the get-go. Universal Payday down inside. I'm going to let you talk about Blewett, who they're giving away for a quarter. I mean, I'm sorry.
I didn't love Blewett in this spot, and this is ultimately the toughest thing to always figure out when you're handicapping is these huge drops, which is clearly a red flag. They don't, give away the horse at this point. Has been running against so much better competition, but there was no running at all. It's through the half almost each and every race, and now obviously finds a softer spot in here. is going to be forwardly placed, and that's ultimately, I look for other speed in here. Obviously, Blewett's the speed of the speed in this spot, and maybe just gets gutsy with the class relief in here. Luis Sai is going to be aboard for Todd Pletcher, who obviously his horse has been running very well up here at Saratoga. Not my strongest opinion of the day, but I did think Blewett had a tactical advantage on the class drop in here. The 2 Dark Storm for our good friends at Bonaventure Stables. We're going to have the Bonaventure Stable bankroll again today, so we'll be rooting for this horse. The George Weaver barn's been a little cold so far. Second-itis a bunch of times. And this horse, last couple, have not been great. But if you dig a little bit deeper, this horse likes a wet going. And also, if this horse is tactically more forwardly placed than the last couple, I think he has a huge shot in here. He's run some buyers comparative to the big guns in here. That would be right in the mix. So at 5-1, I'm hoping the price is going to hold. But Dark Storm looks to be a horse that I want to use at a bigger price. And then Universal Payday in the 3rd spot. Like you said, coming off a long layoff, reappeared in the seasonal debut in July. So again, needed that race going 6.5, sort of tighten this horse up. Now stretch out to a mile and an eighth, and has done so, done pretty well at these long distances. So I thought Universal Payday was a logical alternative in here. So I did 3, 2, and 1 in the 4th.
Pick 6 time in the 5th, as Mike alluded to. We've got a solid carryover, close to 150 in there. So there'll be a giant pool today on a Wednesday where not much else going on around the country. Now, these are the 2-year-olds on the turf, so we'll cut back to 7 furlongs on the main track, which was sealed this morning. Check that surface out later. But this will start the pick 6. 2-year-old fillies going 7 now, maiden special weight on the main track.
Yeah, now that it's off the turf, and I was really hoping it was going to stay on because I like Diamond Hands, the 3. We'll see if this horse ends up staying in. The 8 was also going to take a lot of money on the turf. And that's the big question. Who's going to stay in? But Lemieux, if you want to get gutsy on the front end of this pick 6, is going to be a big favorite in this spot. Off that second-place performance last time up here at Saratoga. The career debut was against Happy Soul. So, yes, this horse ended up getting beat by 11 3/4, but we know how good Happy Soul is. This horse is going to be tough to beat on the front end, especially being the MTO in this spot and ultimately not knowing who's going to run in here and a bunch of first-time starters. So I did have the 7 on top. The 3, Diamond Hands, is the horse that I mentioned. Is more bred for the turf, especially on the bottom side. The dam being a 6-time winner on turf, multiple stakes winner as well. All 4 siblings have won, but they've won on turf. So that's where the question mark is now. Is this horse more meant for the turf? But being on a frosted, you never know. Well, we'll see if this horse takes some money, but I definitely like the workout pattern and the pedigree on the 3, Diamond Hands. And then the 5 in the 3rd spot, Princess Tariko. This horse had a bullet work on July 21st on at Fairhill. And then Kelly Rubley's going to be bringing this horse in for David Cohen. This horse, 8 of 9 siblings to race are winners. So at a big price of 15-1, this race off the turf now, you know, sort of throwing a dart at the board, a bigger price. I thought the 5 was interesting, so I did 7, 3, 5, and 2 in the 5th.
I'll just say the 4, Gunboat for Shug and Jose Ortiz, Stuart Janney homebred by Warfront out of a Blame mare. So certainly there's a main track pedigree. I agree with Mike Lemieux, the horse to beat, the horse to catch. If none of these firsters take money and they bet her hard,
well, now with the pick 6 carryover, do you get gutsy and single on the front end, or do you want to cover yourself with a couple of horses? That's the big question for a lot of people going.
Yeah, and I would think a lot of these horses stay in. Obviously, Chad's going to scratch vagaries.
Yeah, that's
other than that, I don't necessarily see a lot of horses that will come out. You know,
I thought the 2 would stay in out of the Jimmy Creed Shine horse. Yeah,
Diamond Hands is bifrosted out of a Not for Love mare. I mean, time to get going. You know, and then don't forget, if we run today, we get a start, we get some experience for the turf race next time. I would think the majority of this field stays in. Check the board on these firsters to kick off the pick 6.
Take a look at race number 6, another one that's going to be off the turf, going to be sprinting at 5.5. Tough maiden special weight in here. You're going to see the MTO probably take a lot of money, but I went elsewhere in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, I had 7-8-1 on the turf. It's 7-1-8 on the dirt. Crowding out for Chad. He's, you know, by Street Boss out of an 8th P&D mare. So dirt through and through. Closing 3rd on debut at Belmont on the turf. Certainly bred for the main track. Number 1, Sand and Sea, for Belmont. Woke way up on the turf last time. But, you know, with Bill, you're just kind of easing into the equation a little bit. So I don't hold those dirt races too much against Sand and Sea. By Liam's Map out of a hard spun mare. Certainly dirt there. And then number 8, Miss Domino for, you know, Mike mentioned George Weaver not having a good meet. But again, she didn't run on debut. tough race to figure, but I do think Chad holds all the aces in here, even though it's now on the main track.
Yeah, I really only want to use one horse in here. That's the one San and C. Like you said, a horse that you're going to use in the mix, and you have second. First 2 career races, took a lot of money, was poorly placed, weakened. Last time out, sort of started to figure it out on the turf. There's not a lot of speed in here. There's a bunch of horses that want to come from off of it. If John Velasquez can break sharp in this spot, I think with the rail position in here, we always see in these off-going races, you want to be forwardly placed, sort of catch me if you can. And this horse, to me, maybe the horse I want to use. The 9 and the 4 I thought were a little bit interesting. Ultimately, see if the 7 stays in. He'll be a factor. But again, it's tough to figure out. The 8 I thought maybe a horse you want to use as well if he stays in. The career debut was against Jordan Leo. That was one of the horses last week in the pick 6 at 13-1.
That was
ran really well. That was a tough horse to use in that pick 6 sequence. So we'll see ultimately how it goes. But I had 1, 9, 4, and 8.
All right, race 7 is on the main track. It always was on the main track to kick off the late pick 4. So we get back to business a little bit here. $50,000 starter allowance. Fillies and mares 3 and up, 6.5.
3, 7, 1, and 5. Cadeau de Pays is a horse that finished second last time out to a runaway winner in Kelly's sister. Loves the off-going. 5 for 7 in the money, including a couple victories. Irad's going to be aboard. 4-1 on the morning line. The 7 underneath before you. Finally figured it out in the drop and pop scenario last time out in a maiden claiming event. Now faces winners for the first time. Got a good buyer. I think wants to be forwardly placed in the spot like last time out. Has a nice bullet workout since that victory. So I'll use the 7 in the second spot. And then Bayshore Fox is a horse that last time out I thought ran a really good race to Exotic West. Ultimately finished second. Showed speed that day going a mile and an eighth. Ultimately we'll see how it plays out going 6.5 now. But one to use in the mix as well. So 3, 7, 1, and 5 for me in the 7.
Yeah, Mike and I are on the same page here with the 3. You said that name like you had it down pat. I'm just going to say the 3 here. It's Irad.
Sister was a French major.
There you
go.
go.
There you go.
All right. Pat Reynolds does a good job with limited starters. Follow him on Twitter, too. He's a fun guy. And this one just looks to be in the right spot. Mike said a very good off-track record. 4 for 7 in the exacta, 5 for 7 overall. Down inside Bayshore Fox has certainly ran well. Going 9 furlongs, 2 turns on the main track for Phil Bauer. Rigney Racing, they like to bet their horses, so this one will take a lot of money off that good second in the off-track last time. Plenty of foundation for the cutback. Has run well sprinting. They'll have to catch this gal, and she has a big threat. And then number 5 on the outside a little bit, Chloe Rose, off the claim for John Toscano. Hasn't run a lot of horses at the meet. Going to try to get this one to improve off Mike Maker. Easier said than done. This is a barn. Who would know this, right? 29% off the claim. Don't sleep on Chloe Rose. Big chance in here as well, up close stalking. 3-1-5 for me as we take another break here on the Handicappers Report. When we come back, late pick 3 times, along with the feature of the Bolton Landing. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the West. I'm Scott Varley at Saratoga's latest and greatest high-rise luxury condo. Starting in the mid-5s, every condo here has 2 bedrooms and 2 baths and upgrades just like this. Check out these oversized private balconies. We also have a gym, a private lounge, and get this, a heated parking garage. To make a reservation for your private condo at the West, call or text me. I'm Scott Varley at 518-281-6808.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. Up to race number 8 right now. The last of the races washed off the turf. 7 furlongs on the dirt. It's a $40,000 claiming event. How'd you see it here in race number 8?
I would think this is going to be a mass exodus for this one. We talked earlier a couple of races that are washed off that we think the fields for the most part will stay intact. I would think, Mike, I mean, this is a good $40,000 claimer on the turf. I would think the fact that it's on the main track, a lot of these come out. So make sure you do your diligence, check your scratches, especially before you play the pick 6, pick 5, pick 4. I go 11, 5, 4, Troubling Moon for Rusty Arnold. 0 for 2 on a wet track, but a good third. Is 3 for 8 on fast dirt, so 3 for 10 overall. But like I said, a good third if you dig a little bit. Solid main track form, drops in class. Again, this is a guessing game. Check the scratches. Seismic Wave for Chad has only run one time on the main track. Was a very good second in an off-track race, so certainly he's going to hit just as hard on the main. And then number 4, Artemis Bridge for Steve Klaseris. Another one who's got to win on an off track. I think that's significant on a day like this. Has some good running lines on faster as well. So has some solid main track form. You got to dig a little bit on a lot of these. I'll call it 11-5-4, Mike. I didn't really like the MTO Musical America, but as the lone MTO in here, you could do worse, right?
Yeah, I mean, I put him on top. Obviously, he's got second-itis in his career, 4 for 39. Buyers-wise makes a lot of sense. Should be forwardly placed. And again, we talk about it all the time. In these situations, you really want to be forwardly placed. Thought he was going to be one. I also thought the one, Tyos is a horse. Yes, hasn't been seen since May of last year. Going to go into the Danny Gargan barn. Has some races on the dirt that would be okay. We'll see ultimately how it plays out, cutting back from those 2-turn mile races down at Tampa to 7 furlongs, now going to 1 turn. But again, Danny Gargan, very dangerous in this spot. First time in the barn at 34%. And then the 7 and the 11, 3rd and 4th spot. The 7, attentive last time out on the turf, but dig a little bit deeper. 1 for 1 over the off-going, so I thought he was usable. And also Troubling Moon, your top horse as well. Has some career races on the dirt that would absolutely bury these fields. The last several obviously have been on the turf, so we'll see if you can revert back to some of that form on the dirt. But I had it 2, 1, 7, and 11.
As you were talking, I was pretty sure I did the math to make sure. Danny Gargan is 9 for 14 off a plus 180.
As I mean, it's like unbelievable. It's like it's tough to leave him out, especially
9 for 14.
You will be so mad if you have him in the pick 6 and you left him out, and he's the one that ends up getting, because he's going to be forwardly placed. There's no doubt about it.
I guess Musical America will be involved too, but you're right. Taos with Saez will go from the rail, and Owen Hardy does a good job. He has for a very long time. This is a significant move up. The layoff, obviously, getting back to dirt, obviously, question marks. Yikes, Taos is a huge threat in here. I should definitely have him higher in my mix. Okay, here's the feature, the Bolton Landing. We think right now, and it has seemingly stopped raining, and we don't really think the rain's coming. We don't, at least in the body of the card, it doesn't look all that significant. So maybe knock on wood, they run this race on turf. Obviously, they left it on. They'll make a decision, I would think, before the pick 6 gets going. Right now, what we do know, right now, 2-year-old filly's sprinting 5.5 on the melon for $120.
Yeah, there's a lot of speed in here. I had a 3, 5, 7, and 8. Darian Ain was Steve Bick's play of the day a couple weeks ago.
Firster.
This horse did everything you want to see. Rated behind horses, found a seam, really spurted through. Now, that was against State Breds, open company here now. The waters get a little bit deeper. But that was over a track that had moisture in it, was never really asked by Joel Rosario. And again, I think he's going to get the same kind of setup in here. The 2's going to have some speed. The 5 and the 6 are going to go. And the 8 obviously has some speed coming from Gulfstream Park. If there's a speed duel up front, you're going to see the same type of setup. And I'm hoping that the 3, Darian Ain, has the same type of setup as last time out. But again, waters get a little bit deeper at 5-1. I wanted to use as my top choice. The 5, Poppy Flower, victorious last time out, came home really strong in 11 3/5 in that final furlong. So I thought that was impressive. 2 back-face Twilight Gleaming, who went over to Europe for Wesley Ward. So I thought Poppy Flower is a horse you want to use tactically, drawing outside of some of the other speeds in here. We'll see how it ultimately plays out. Jose Ortiz been aboard for all 3 career starts as well. Then the 7, Knee Skips for Tom Amos, Eric Consell. This is a horse that stormed home late down at Ellis. Yes, you would say, obviously, clearly going to get a little bit deeper as far as the competition in here. But like I said, if I'm looking at it this race where I just think the speed is going to collapse, I want a horse that maybe at a big price could be storming home late, so I thought the 7 is one you want to use as well. And then clearly the 8's going to be a horse on the outside that's a speedball as well. So I had him in the 4th spot. Very interesting race. I had 3, 5, 7, and 8.
What's the morning line on Knees and Hips? The 7?
10-1.
Yeah, okay. So, 7, 8, 4, 5, 3. I'm picking up what Mike's putting down in here. It looks to me like there's going to be a lot of gals hell-bent on the lead in here. Now, going 5.5, sometimes it doesn't really matter, but we know regardless there's going to be plenty of give in this course. And Knees and Hips ran very, very slow winning on debut at Ellis. I don't really trust those figures. I don't know how relevant 2-year-old sprint figures are in the middle of the year. She settled. She passed horses late. I think that's very, very significant. One of Tom Amos's main owners, Joe Politi, they own good horses together, especially fillies.
They have a couple wins up here together.
Absolutely, yes. And Knees and Hips, I think, is interesting, as Mike said, if this thing falls apart. Fulminate from the outside for Cassie, at least on paper, the speed of the speed, and she does draw advantageously to be outside. I just kind of wonder if she wins the battle and loses the war a little bit with all the other speed to her inside. Flip my id for Maker. She settled and won on debut. That's huge. And the barn is just having a prolific meet. Number 5, Poppy Flower, you mentioned for Wesley Ward, and Jose Ortiz, and then number 3, Darien, Steve Bick's play of the day early in their meet. Stay tuned, by the way, in a minute or two, we'll have Steve Bick into the Paul play of the day. For today, it's a spread to me. I want value, and I want someone that has shown a little bit of penchant for coming off the pace. 7, 8, 4, 5, 3, and what we hope is a Bolton Landing run on the turf.
Take a look at the finale. It's going to be a $40,000 state-bred maiden claim. We're going to go 6 furlongs in here. And could you get past the favorite?
Yeah, 1-3 to the hoop for me. Clear Humor off the claim for Brittany Russell. If you're not familiar with this barn, high percentage Mid-Atlantic barn. Doesn't do a lot of claiming, only 1 for 4. But she grabbed this one for George Weaver last time. Now we go second off of a little bit of a layoff. I'm sure this was like perfect scenario, I would think, for this barn and new owner, Nice Guy Stables. Don't win because we don't want to face winners. He ran a good second. First time in the barn now. They claim for 40, runs back for 40. They are running for $50,000 today. Luis Saez is here. Sticks, well clear of second last time. Last time. I would think Clear Humor had a very short number. Multiple expansion for Chad on the drop. Could wake up here. Turf, dirt, special weight to claiming, maiden claiming. A lot of angles to think this one wakes up. Oh boy, she didn't do a lot of running. He didn't do a lot of running on debut. By tourists too, so I'm not sure about the main track here.
Yeah, I'm right with you. The one's going to be tough to beat, like you said, throughout the career debut against River Dog, who did run in the Amsterdam. That's a really nice horse. Last time out, like you said, really strong. Going out for Brittany Russell, who's already got a couple of victories up here. Damalamo, I thought was interesting. Already run up here over off-going, finished a solid 3rd that day. I think it's a little bit more poorly placed. Was just too far back last time, but it looks to be the viable alternative in this spot at 3-1. And then the 3 in the 3rd spot, multiple expansion. You already mentioned it. Career debut on the turf. Now getting onto the dirt. Ultimately, see how it plays out. The 4 was interesting. If you're looking for a long shot, I thought the 4 was interesting at 15-1. Finished 3rd last time out, past entire rivals. Horse that could pick up the pieces at a big price. So 1, 6, 3, and 4 for me in the finale.
I'll just mention the 9 who I have in 3rd for Orlando Noda. 4 special weight stops. Now drops. Orlando will be on the show at 10:40. So stay tuned for that. Racing Across America, that is. So what that does is bring us to another break here on the Handicappers Report. We're going to take it now. Steve Bick and the DePaula play of the day coming up. Stay tuned for that, and then Michael and I will wrap in a few minutes.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Birdstone is an outside threat. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bobo. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart very dominant. It's going to be a 3-horse motor finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
The Capital Region has some of the most sophisticated horse racing fans in the country. That's why Capital OTB built the Clubhouse Racebook. Here you can wager year-round on the best horse racing from around the world. The Clubhouse also has monthly promotions including live bankrolls, handicapping contests, and so much more. Like sports? Watch your favorite teams on more than 30 screens in Legends Field Sports Grill. Food, sports, and the excitement of championship horse racing. Only at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
At DePaula, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Family owned since 1980, DePaula means quality and convenience, along with concerned and certified technicians. So come join the family and thank DePaula for all your automotive needs. At DePaula, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Over $2 million in original factory parts means you receive the very best for any make or model. So come join the family and thank DePaula for all your automotive needs.
It's post time for today's DePaula Play of the Day.
That's right. You were walking out. Ready for me? I think so, Brian. Yeah, Brian's ready for me. Yes. All right, stay right here. I'm basically going to reiterate for those that have been listening on the radio and maybe simultaneously you've been watching Capital OTB, the DePaula play of the day. And if Rusty Arnold sticks with Troubling Moon in that 8th race, I think you're going to get a square price. It depends on how many other horses stay in. Musical America is, easily going to be favored. The MTOs and although not, this is not an open and shut case. A lot of times, and follow Andy's advice on this because nobody has a better feel when things go off the turf than Andy. But a 5-2 America. But Troubling Moon was 10-1 and may get ignored. And his performances off the turf or on the main track anyway are very competitive here. And I thought that Lascano on the outside, kind of a stalk and go trip at a decent price would be a good play of the day. If they scratch, we're going to go to Before You for the reasons, mentioned earlier. Bill Mott, Jose Ortiz, and this one coming off the maiden breaker. If they wanted to give her away, they would have run her cheap again. Have to dip down to maiden 20 to graduate. Instead, they put her in a starter allowance. So they obviously think enough of her to retain her, as opposed to clean up on aisle 8 and discontinued merchandise. So Before You is 4-1, and it's a very balanced group. But I thought that if we lose Troubling Moon to scratch, then the DePaula play of the day turns to the 7 in the 7th, Before You. Good luck, everybody. Thank you. Talk to you tomorrow from California. That's going to be fun. I think I'll probably tape that one. All right? Is that all right, Brian? I'm going to tape that and send it to you. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you from Del Mar, though, this week.
All right, Troubling Moon, the DePaula play of the day. Hopefully that one stays in. I've got that one on top. And yeah, I think we're okay with you taping that one tomorrow, Steve, from California. So that's going to do it here on the Wednesday.
Living the life.
Yeah, right, Steve Beck. We could only live a day in the life. So that'll do it. He'll be out in California tomorrow, so stay tuned. He'll be back to battle with the DePaula play of the day tomorrow. Pacific Classic weekend out there.
Yeah, big weekend.
Big weekend at Del Mar, the Grade 1 Pacific Classic. It's Jonathan Shepard Day here at Saratoga, we hope, fingers crossed. And that'll bring us to the end of the Handicappers Report. Mike goes, I stay. Joe Clancy will be front and center from the Saratoga Special coming up very, very shortly to talk about the Jonathan Shepard, formerly the New York Turf Riders, to kick off Racing Across America. Good luck. Big Pick 6 carryover today as well. So hit on some promos before we go real quick.
Oh, yeah. So we have the bankroll. I'll be sticking around all afternoon long, so still have time to sign up for that. Go to capitalotb.com. I'll have $500. And again, sponsored by Bonaventure Stables. They have a horse running today, so good luck to them with Dark Storm in race number 2, I believe. And then we also have a $100 knockout challenge down at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Ave in Albany. And then we also have an online win-a-bet contest. Go to capitalotb.com. Again, we're loaded with promos all week long. We have the Syndicate on Saturdays. The bounty bet's over $1,000 right now. We had 2 people hit it last week. They collected over $150 in free money each, so that was great. But again, just a lot of promos right now, and then also our sign-up bonus, which we have right now as well. So again, a host of promos. But today we have the bankroll, the online contest, and then the knockout challenge down at the Clubhouse.
All right, good luck and fund that account today because of that Big 6 carryover. So like I said, Mike goes, I stay. Right back with you, Racing Across America and Joe Clancy. Stay tuned.
You've been watching the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. and CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.